Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome to the official Dram Association unbottling of that boutique malt company's Milk and Honey. Very exciting stuff. This is an Israeli single malt spirit. Why spirit, not whiskey? Well, because it's only been aged for 1 year, so it's not legally allowed to be called whiskey. In most countries, I assume Israel is 3 years. I don't know. Some countries aren't. Australia is 2 years. America is at least a second, apparently. Very interesting artwork. I look forward to finding out more about that. Yeah, cool whiskey. Let's see what the boutique whiskey company has. Sorry, not whiskey. Stop calling it whiskey, Adam. It's false advertising. Cool malt. Let's see what the boutique malt company has to say about the Milk and Honey. Batch 1, 1-year-old. So, this is the first batch from Israeli distillery Milk and Honey, and it's just a 1-year-old malt spirit. Oh, a release of 678 bottles at 50.3, and we have bottle 72 of 678 here. The Milk and Honey distillery is Israel's first whiskey distillery, founded in 2012. Construction of the distillery began in 2014, and distillation started in 2015. The first distillation run didn't take place until March 2015. Hang on. I was in Israel in March 2015. Ah, I could have been there. That would have been awesome. I was in Jerusalem. In February 2016, the first whiskey production commenced. So, okay, they started distilling, but they didn't start making whiskey until a year later. Would have been, shouldn't have bothered going. I'm glad I didn't. The distillery is named, of course, after the biblical name for ancient Israel, the land of milk and honey. It's very hot and humid in Tel Aviv. I can attest to that. Even though I was there in March, it was uncomfortably warm. Whilst the climate helps with fast maturation, the negative side effect is the evaporation rate, the angel share, which is about 8 to 10% yearly. The late Dr. Jim Swan worked with Milk and Honey as its master distiller and consultant before he passed in 2017. Dr. Swan helped founders to build the distillery from scratch. He chose the casks, the yeast, and designed their pot stills. Dr. Swan found Israel's climate fascinating from a maturation point of view. Israel is just a small country, but there are 3 or 4 different climate zones. The team have been recently experimenting with aging casks in the ultra-salty environment of the Dead Sea, where the air is very dry and salty with temperatures that can run up to 50 degrees Celsius. About the label, well, the label sets the scene for Milk and Honey Distillery along the beachfront of Tel Aviv, which, whilst not completely accurate, it really isn't that far away from the Golden Sands. It's a happy scene along the waterfront, and check out their cow bee chillaxing in a boat. There's a cow bee? There is a cow dressed as a bee, dressed as a sailor in a boat. That is a fantastic thing. And the white swan in the bottom left is, of course, a nod to the late Jim Swan, who was instrumental in helping the founders set up the distillery. Very, very cool. Yeah, it doesn't look like how I remember Tel Aviv. A lot more pipes. But one thing I do very much recognize is the showers on the beach, because the water, especially at the Dead Sea, actually, I don't know about, I didn't go to the beach at Tel Aviv, but when I visited the Dead Sea, the water is so insanely salty that you have to shower as soon as you get out, otherwise it just irritates your skin to no end. Yeah, I actually cut my foot on a big rock of salt on the shore, which of course was very painful because then it was covered in salt water and that stung. Yeah, great times. Cool. So let's see what this Israeli single malt spirit's all about. It's a magnificent colour for a 1-year-old spirit, I've got to say. Yeah. I think this is the first time that Milk and Honey has been available in British Columbia. I think this is the very first bottle to have ever been legally purchased and sampled in BC, which is quite cool. Yeah, that is, as you might expect from a 1-year-old that is being, bottled by a prestigious bottler such as Boutique. It's a sherry cask, and that's a trick that, I assume it's a sherry cask from the nose at least. That is a trick that Ooh, that goes a long way, because you get a lot of flavour out of a first fill sherry cask in a very short amount of time, and especially at those kind of temperatures. Yeah. I used to work at a single malt distillery called Bakery Hill in Melbourne, which actually Boutique have just bottled some of theirs as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get some of that at some point. And yeah, it's like exactly the same kind of thing. You lose like 10% a year to the Angels. So, you know, you have to bottle it at a young age, otherwise you've got nothing left. All right, so I'm getting cloves, I'm getting cinnamon, I'm getting plum pudding. I'm getting a little bit of a coppery note, like the penny in the Christmas pudding. Oh, it's like the penny in the Christmas pudding. That's nice. And actually, kind of, as soon as it's Christmas pudding, it kind of has that sort of brandy sauce, you know, the white sort of custard that's not custardy, because it's not got that sort of, not got the yolk or whatever it is that makes custardy that custard thing, but it's like a white sauce with brandy in it that you pour over the Christmas pudding. Oh, it's very Christmas puddingy, which feels bizarre for, you know, coming from Israel. Although, you know, the original Christmas was in Israel, so I guess that kind of makes sense. It's not that far away from Bethlehem. Wow, that's a lot of flavour. And wow, that is a very specific flavour I did not expect to find. There is a hoppy note in this, like a tropical mosaic hop or something, like big bitter pineapple. Wow. All of the sherry notes that you would expect to be there are there alongside it. You've got a really nice nuttiness that's coming through in this one, more like a Brazil nut. But yeah, hops. What that? I was not expecting. I'm not expecting that at all. And there's a really nice tobacco-ness as well. Not the smoke, but the actual tobacco itself. Rich, dark tobacco. Dried cranberries. Black pepper. Yeah. This is really cool. And, you know, honestly, just super neat to try a single malt spirit from Israel. Like, there's an awful lot of people that did not know that this distillery existed, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that did know that it existed who have been itching to try something from it. So yeah, if you're interested in picking up a bottle of the Milk and Honey, there is at least a bottle, maybe two, available at strathliquor.com as this airs, and yeah, you'll be able to pick it up for $112.96 at full price, which means with your 10% discount, which you're eligible for as a Dram Association member for at least a week, it'll be $101.66. We only have a very limited amount of this one, so I don't think that it's going to be around for long. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, the first person that watches this video picks up the last bottle or two. So I'm sorry for those who missed out, but if you are interested in more Israeli single malts, let me know, because it is something that I can bring more of in the future. I just, you know, we don't know. I don't really understand I don't know how much of an audience there is for Israeli single malt here in BC. I'd love to know. So yeah, if you want me to bring more of this in, let me know. And I think I'm definitely going to bring some more at some point, but it's just a matter of how much. Very cool stuff. Slán I'll see you on the next one.